Welcome to the Beyond Barriers podcast. If you're an ambitious woman who wants to dominate your career, then you are in the right place. This podcast is co-hosted by Nikki Barua, digital innovator, serial entrepreneur, author, and speaker, and Monica Marquez, ex-Googler, diversity expert, and senior corporate leader. From inspiring stories to cutting-edge strategies, you'll learn how to develop the skill set, mindset, and tool set to get future-ready fast and accelerate your success. Welcome to the Beyond Barriers Habits and Hacks Show. Happy Halloween, everyone. Hope you're celebrating this holiday dressed up as your favorite character and spreading the festive spirit. Much like Halloween gives you the opportunity to step into a different character and assume its persona and behavior, you can also do the same in everyday life by assuming the right identity for any situation. In today's episode, we'll discuss the power of identity and how it can be an effective tool to overcome obstacles, achieve your goals, and not let your fears and limiting beliefs get in the way of your success. So first off, Nikki, tell us why someone should even assume a different identity. I mean, isn't that counter to being yourself?
That's a great point and a great question. Assuming an identity isn't about not being yourself. It's about stepping into a character that brings out the best parts of yourself out. Think of it like letting go of fears and inhibitions that prevent us from expressing what we already have within ourselves. So let's just say you're someone who has really, really great ideas, but somehow you're afraid to speak up in meetings, or maybe you don't like public speaking, and you always hesitate to express those great ideas. When you step into the identity of, let's say, a bold, influential leader, you feel empowered to speak with confidence and share those original ideas.
Right.
That's really what it's all about. So, if you think about it, consider those people that are able to overcome any challenge in their path. They somehow learn how to be bigger than their problems, and they find a way to move forward. What they're really doing is assuming the right identity to face that problem.
Okay.
Because at the end of the day, no matter what your goals may be, it's very hard to get started on them or successfully achieve your goals if you don't believe you can. And this is the part very often that people miss. And that's why they don't achieve their goals, because no matter how ambitious they may be, self-doubt and fear creeps in. And it's at this unconscious level where you may just not be aware of exactly what's holding you back. But, if there's an underlying sense of unworthiness, it tends to get in the way, and it just won't allow you to follow through on your action plan. So the power of identity lies in your ability to step into this character. Think of it like this Halloween character, right? That has all the attributes, the behaviors, the mindset of exactly who you need to be bigger than your problems and to overcome that self-doubt and fear that are getting in the way. So if there's a part of you that doesn't feel like you can do it or deserve it, then, we often tend to self-sabotage by not stepping into everything you need to be, or perhaps simply not showing up as powerfully as you need to be. That's why you need the tools and techniques that will instill in you those necessary beliefs and even the behaviors and the mindset that you need to achieve your goals. It's almost like putting on a superhero costume. Once you put on that cape, you can do anything.
Exactly. I mean, my power identity is Wonder Woman. When it comes to feeling strong and invincible, I imagine I'm Wonder Woman, and then everything feels possible. In those moments, I steal a few minutes when I need to kind of stand in my Wonder Woman pose and that power pose and envision tackling whatever's in front of me at that moment. And in all honesty, after a couple of minutes of standing there like Wonder Woman, I'm ready for whatever comes my way.
Because you start to feel like you are Wonder Woman in that moment.
Exactly. And I used to wonder why this pose was so effective for me. And then I discovered Amy Cuddy's TED Talk on the power pose, in which she suggests that our body language governs how we think and feel about ourselves. So how we hold our bodies can have an impact on our minds. In other words, by commanding a powerful stance, we can make ourselves actually feel more powerful. The evidence of power posing or postural feedback, it came from a study that Cuddy completed while she was at Harvard University, where participants sat in either a high power pose, which
kind of like an expansive posture, like
exactly,
your hands all out and you're taking up space.
Exactly. Or a low power pose, which
it's kind of like crouching or like leaning inwards, your legs are crossed, you're making yourself smaller.
Exactly. So when they held those poses for 2 minutes, she found that those who sat in that high power pose, taking up more space, they felt more powerful and they performed better in mock interviews than those who had not.
That's exactly right. It's our body language, our behaviors, even our mindset can fundamentally shift our identity and how we show up.
Do you want to grow your impact as a change agent who ignites transformation in others, but you don't have a proven step-by-step method? Do you want to grow your visibility and influence as a thought leader to inspire others, but you don't know where to begin? The Beyond Barriers High Performance Executive Coach Certification is designed for experienced leaders who want to grow their impact and influence. Join this exclusive community of high achievers, advance your career as a leader, and experience the joy of helping others grow. Go to iambeyondbarriers.com and register for the webinar to learn more. Tell us, how can someone take on a power identity?
Right. So we already know that if we're facing a certain challenge that we simply can't seem to overcome in our regular identities,
right,
a very powerful way of doing it is to assume the right kind of identity that helps you combat that, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the question is, how do you define what the right one is?
Mm-hmm.
Well, here are some steps you can follow. Number one, identify a specific situation, perhaps a difficult situation you're facing, and observe exactly how you show up in those situations. So I'll give you an example of, let's say it's public speaking and you're absolutely terrified of public speaking. And every time you picture yourself, or maybe you've gone up on stage in front of an audience,
mm-hmm,
observe how you show up. Are you nervous? Are you, is your posture kind of small? Is your voice trembling? Are you breathing heavy? Are you sweating too much? What is the narrative in your head? Are you telling yourself, what if I screw up? What will people think of me? What if I forget my lines, right? So observe exactly how you're showing up, because that is,
mm-hmm,
the identity that is disempowering for you in that situation. Now, once you've really frame that identity, give that identity a name. So let's come up with a name.
Call Scared Sally.
Okay, there you go. Let's call that identity Scared Sally. And every time you imagine public speaking, Scared Sally shows up, and Scared Sally has, a posture that does
mm-hmm,
not indicate confidence, a high-pitched voice and really breathy and sweaty. And it's just a lot of terror and
mm-hmm,
fear of screwing up, right? Now, on step number 2 is think of a persona who would go up on stage and absolutely nail that experience, right? There's someone who would be super confident, own the room, inspire the audience, and get the message across.
mm-hmm,
Observe that persona. How are they showing up? What is their posture? Are they taking up space? Are they expansive? Do they have their hands on the hip? Are they using the hands to speak? Is their voice, really resonant? Is their breathing calm? Is their narrative really that people are excited to hear from them?
mm-hmm,
So think of that persona. It could be someone you know.
mm-hmm,
It could be a hero or a celebrity that you admire in that context.
mm-hmm,
Or it could be just you visualizing what that looks like.
mm-hmm.
Perhaps you might have even done that sometime in your life. So imagine that persona and that identity, and now give that identity a name.
Mm-hmm.
So,
well, that girl is Daring Diva.
Okay, Daring Diva it is. Okay, so when you think about that other persona who's absolutely, confident on stage and is an inspiring public speaker and an influencer, that person is Daring Diva. So step number 3 is you have to pick a trigger that helps you recall that power identity, mm-hmm, of the Daring Diva. So There are many things you could do. I suggest that you do something that is somewhat discreet so you're not making it very obvious in public. So it could be snapping your finger or gently tapping your leg or pinching yourself, whatever that might be. Pick a trigger that feels natural to you. And anytime you activate that trigger, bring back that power identity, shift your identity to the one that's powerful, right? So now this is not going to come very naturally. So you're going to have to keep practicing it, practice the trigger so that every time, let's say the trigger is snapping your finger. Every time you snap your finger, you go from whatever identity you have into your power identity of, let's say, a daring diva, and you emulate those attributes, those behaviors where you stand up taller, with your head high, you're breathing slower, your voice is deep and commanding, and you feel great about yourself. You kind of take a step into that identity, and you can picture yourself absolutely dominating that conversation and being successful in that situation. So when you activate that trigger, visualize it, that identity, recall that identity, you're calling that identity to step into that role and go right into that character. And those are the 3 steps. If you can first identify the situation and how you're showing up, give it a name. Step number 2, how should you show up and what does that look like, and give that a name. And step number 3, pick a trigger to call that power identity and keep practicing until you can get it on command.
I love it. It's like Halloween all year round.
Yeah, exactly right? So instead of just having 1 or 2 characters, you could literally have any number of characters for any situation you're facing, instead of being limited by thinking, I can only do this because this is how I've been showing up. You can pick the identity that absolutely allows you to succeed in that situation.
Yes. It's like going to your closet with a whole bunch of superhero costumes, and you get to pick whichever costume is the one you need to get through that particular obstacle you're facing that day. Once you take those attributes, then you're able to move forward. Towards your goal and the right skill set. You take on the right attitude and the resourcefulness to solve those problems as they come along. So there you have it, folks. That is what the idea of adopting a powerful identity is all about. When you take on that identity, you take on the attributes that come with that identity. Now, try it out for yourself and let us know what your favorite power identity is and what challenge you were able to overcome. Have a great week, and we'll see you next time. Thank you for listening to the Beyond Barriers podcast. There are thousands of podcasts out there, and we are so grateful that you've chosen to listen to ours. If you enjoyed the show, please tell a friend about it and subscribe to get new episodes every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Visit isn'beyondbarriers.com, where you'll find show notes and links to all resources for each show, including the best way to connect with our guests. See you next episode.